Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to our Betweenlands Spotlight tutorial series. Today what we're going to be talking about is the Spirit Tree, or the Ancient Spirit Tree. We mentioned this briefly when we were talking about biomes. Of course, it does spawn in its very own kind of sub-biome. You can see that this is called a Swamplands Clearing biome. And this is kind of a sub-biome that spawns around swamplands, and you will occasionally see it. It's not overly rare, but it is a little bit uncommon. And you're going to see this structure here. It's just kind of a round bit of dirt, kind of surrounded by water, like a moat of water. It's going to have this large kind of willow tree that spawns here, and you're going to see these ruins around here with some wisps on top of it. This is very important, and we're going to talk about why here in just a second. And you can see a multitude of roots around here, and you can see kind of these carved roots that surround it. And occasionally, if we look, you're going to see faces on some of these. These are small spirit tree masks. And if we attack these, you can see that they do take damage, and they get kind of a broken effect based on the amount of damage that they take, and after a few hits, they will die. You can see it took 3 hits with the Ancient Greatsword. But if we were to use an axe, 2 hits to kill him off. So in this battle, you ideally will want to use an axe. Of course, you're fighting a tree, so it only makes sense. Octane Axe being very, very powerful. Valentine does, I believe Valentine Axe does have higher damage by 1, but the benefit of the Octane is that it does apply some fire damage, which is great. Now in the center on this large tree, you're going to see it's going to have a pointer above it just to kind of help you figure out where it's at, because this will teleport. Speaking of teleporting, also worth noting is that the small faces will teleport, mainly just so that they can get a better angle on you to attack, because during the fight these are going to attack. But this one here is the main boss. Once you kill it, the fight's going to be over. So that's going to be your focus, is getting this down, but you will likely have to kill a bit of the small masks. However, they will respawn as the battle continues on. That's why I didn't really mind killing some at the start here, because they will respawn decently quick. And they're going to be, I mean, as you can see, they're scattered all around this island. And they're going to engage, like if I go into survival mode and I start getting close to this, there we go. Once it registers me, you can see that a lot of faces have teleported over to here, and that one is teleported over to here because they want to be able to see us. They want to be able to get an angle to shoot. That right there, we'll talk about that here in a minute. There should be one more wave. Yeah, there we go. So just bear that in mind when you're fighting this boss, that these faces, I mean, now there's 4 facing off in this direction, and basically all these small ones are going to do is they're going to shoot sap spit. Which is this stuff right here. You can see that they can drop it. And this sap spit, it can be used to both breed mire snails, and it can be used to repair the corrosion on tools. You can see right here that it's completely corroded, and then it's good as new. It can be used for that. And that's what they're shooting at you, basically. They're spitting at you. And that's really all their attacks as far as the small masks. Like I said, they are going to respawn, but you may have to kill a few of them during the fight, just to kind of weed out the amount of attacks coming at you. Now the face, it's going to make, in addition to the spit attacks like the smaller ones, it's going to make a few additional attacks, which we'll talk a little bit more about. You saw the root waves. Basically what it does is it'll fire off these root waves, and then you can jump over them, but it's going to fire them out and pretty much cover the entire island in a full 360 of roots. So you're either going to get hit by them, like I was doing. I really wasn't in a great position to be jumping over them either. Or you can jump over them and dodge them, and they're going to fire in waves of 3. You'll also notice a lot of fog around this. That's natural. That's what happens around this boss, or around this biome while the boss is up. Now in addition, 2 other attacks he's going to make. He's going to fire kind of roots out of his mouth. Kind of a rapid attack, and it does do a lot of damage, so I highly suggest you dodge or block that. A shield is actually really good for this fight. And go ahead and put yourself on some solid armor. Don't worry about your rubber boots because you don't need them for this fight. You're going to be pretty much on ground, ideally in this entire fight, unless you get knocked back into the water here. Ranged weapon and axe. There's really no reason to carry a sword for this fight, so I do highly suggest those. I've got a predator bow, which we'll talk a little bit more about later, but any kind of bow. Also, octane arrows I highly suggest. The other attack, though, that he can deal is sometimes he'll summon roots underneath you, and if you don't get out of the way in time, they're going to rise up and they're going to bind you in place for a little while, which can be quite nasty if you have a lot of attacks coming at you. So just bear that in mind. As far as approaching this boss, I highly suggest you find a place like this would be a good entrance to this boss, in my opinion. Because over here, there's so many roots. Not only am I going to have to dodge a lot of things to come in at the boss, I'm also going to have a lot of faces to contend with. Their range is not super high. So if you find a nice clear area like this side, I mean, there's not going to be any faces here. They can teleport to, say, the sides of these, but it's going to be a whole lot less incoming in that case. Also, blocks cannot be broken around this boss until the boss is killed. That's pretty standard for most Betweenlands bosses. And as far as these little ruins around the edge, these are very important. They're not just for decor. This is what basically adjusts your difficulty setting. The amount of wisps that surround this boss are going to determine the difficulty. Starting out, you could see there's like six wisps around this, looks like. So your default starting wisps will give the tree a difficulty value. This is a little bit math-ish. Will give you a default difficulty of 1, which basically means that it's going to be standard attack speed, standard attack damage. It's going to have the standard drops, and so on. However, if you add wisps to these altars, it's going to increase the difficulty of the boss, speeding up attacks, increasing damage. It's also going to increase the amount of drops and experience that you get. So the more wisps that you have, the more saplings that's going to drop at the end of the fight. Also, if you have above a strength value of 1.4, then that's going to be what allows you to get the large spirit tree mask. Which is kind of important because otherwise you're not going to get that. It's also worth noting that these wisps can be removed to decrease the difficulty. The minimum will go down to, I believe... Okay, I had to check. It goes down to 0.5, so you could make the fight basically half as difficult as it would normally be. And then it can go up to, if we add additional wisp, it can go up to 2 times. So it's going to be double the difficulty. But like I said, additional loot every 0.2 above the 1, default difficulty setting is going to give you additional sapling drop. But we're going to go ahead and just fill this out. But one thing to note is that any wisps that are around the tree, you can break those and collect them and remove them, basically decreasing the difficulty until the boss is below 50% health. After that, it's not going to allow you to break those. But any that you place, you're not going to be able to break off. So just bear that in mind. Also, you can't get the boss down really, really low health and then add all your wisps because it's not going to work. You pretty much are going to need to do that early on. Otherwise, you're not going to get the effects of adding the additional wisps. So this is going to set us up to a maximum difficulty spirit tree, which also means maximum rewards. Now, when it comes to spirit tree, this is one boss that you can zerk down because he is not going to regen any health. So just bear that in mind. For this fight, I would suggest bringing maybe tough skin elixirs, elixir of healing, that kind of stuff. Will be very, very beneficial to you. Speed's okay. Even better if you have one thing that does make the fight infinitely easier, and this is basically just a luck thing as far as how to get it, that is the Ring of Ascent. If you do have this, it's going to make your life a whole lot easier, and I'll show you why. If we equip this, there we go. For some reason, something to note, with the Ring of Ascent, if you just right-click to equip it, it doesn't seem to want to work. So what you're going to want to do is just equip, and then we can actually use the Ring of Ascent, which we're going to talk more about this. But if you have gotten lucky enough to get this, it will make this fight infinitely easier because the root knockback is very, very nasty. So something, you know, to make it a little bit easier, always good, because that root knockback, instead of having to jump over it, you're just going to be able to just, by default, dodge it, you know. So I'm getting hit by Sap Spit, but you can see that the roots can't hit me. This does have a slight, most of the rings will have a slight XP drain, but nothing that you shouldn't be able to handle. But yeah, you can see that I've got a fair few mass, but they're far enough away that they can't actually hit me. Actually, I wonder if I wouldn't be better off using the Weedwood bow for this, because I'm going to have a little bit more range with that. I don't know if I can actually... Yeah, I can actually range him down from here. So one really easy way to do this boss, almost kind of cheesy, is just to stand back at the very edge with the Ring of Ascent and just shoot him down. But you're going to notice that he teleported off from that location over to there. Yeah, he just teleported again. But you can see Ring of Ascent going to make this fight almost excessively easy. Where did my shield go? Oh yeah, I unequipped it because I was messing with that ring. Whoa! Yeah, that's the attack you want to watch out for, where he shoots those roots. It's very, very nasty. So, highly suggest Ring of Ascent because you can literally sit at the very edge, like in this case, and not be hit by anything. Tough Skin Elixir will help, though I don't know if it's going to be enough to survive his root attacks, but you can block those if you pull your shield up. It does tend to happen pretty quick. As you saw, this isn't really a boss that you want to get greedy on. And an easy way to do it is rely on his movements. And if you stand to the side like this, especially with the Ring of Ascent, you can be out of range of that root attack because it is about the most deadly thing that he's going to do. So I do highly suggest it. But it's not a fight that you want to sit around on and basically just kind of hang out. I mean, I know it's just a face on a tree, but if you do that, he's going to try to bind you with his roots. He's going to do the root attack, dealing massive damage. Hitting him from the side is a great way to try and get your attacks in. Of course, we are having to deal with these smaller faces, but one arrow will kill them if you give the fire time to kind of burn them down. But highly suggest getting a Ring of Ascent. It can be a little bit rare of an item. If you recall my time on Sevtech, it took me forever to get one of those. But sometimes you'll get lucky and come across those pretty quick. It is a super help for this fight. He keeps trying to move, and we can kind of almost bounce him around. If we move to the side, he's going to keep kind of being stuck in this this state of always moving around. Of course, his face is the knockback that Sap Spit has. It can be a little bit nightmarish trying to do this, so it is highly suggested that you every once in a while deal with these guys. Just pop an arrow into them. It's going to make your life a bit easier. Go. But his 360 roots, they're going to go all around the tree, whereas his root fire is going to just be in front of him. So we can literally stand right here, even though it looks like we'd be getting hit. Yeah, you can see I got hit by that like one time, and it's just like... Very, very dangerous attack. It does have a very short range, though. If you're standing back here, just kind of ranging him down, you won't have too much to worry about, because especially at highest difficulty, he is going to absolutely wreck you with pretty much every attack that he's got. It's going to wreck you. Either that, or you can stand back and just fire on him from a distance. Does make the fight a whole lot easier, and he tends to not teleport as much, because most of the time whenever he's teleporting, he is going to be teleporting to get a better angle on you. Just bear in mind that if you're standing back ranging, you are still going to have to dodge roots. But if you have a Ring of Ascent, it makes this boss excessively easy by comparison. So it is something to bear in mind there. And with it being a random luck ring, not coming from a specific boss, but just being a chance-based thing, you know, you may get lucky and get one pretty quick, or it may take you a little while. But if you want to fight high difficulty spirit trees, I highly suggest it. It just makes your life a whole lot easier. He's starting to get quite a bit of damage. He has a lot of health, as you can tell. Of course, my stuff is not enchanted, so if you enchant your axe with sharpness, things like that, it is going to help you out a lot with this fight. But yeah, I've already went through a stack of arrows on this fight. So octane arrows are my personal preference for this fight, just because if you couldn't tell, this boss is not a big fan of fire. He's also not a big fan of axes. And the nice thing about octane arrows is they're not overly expensive or hard to get a bunch of. I should probably just wait until that attack's done, because I am getting some knockback from the little ones. Ooh, his sap spit hurts. The small masks, they do have a few drops. I think mainly sap spit and small masks. Yeah, there we go. One just dropped a small masks. So you can farm those up here if you so desire. And also something worth noting, if we watch this for just a second, you cannot kind of noob pillar your way up. So if we give him a second, you can see the roots do shoot up out of this. They're going to shoot up out of every single block. So that is not an option. You're either going to have to Ring of Ascent it or just try to run in there. But like I said, I highly suggest if you're doing maximum difficulty tree, Ring of Ascent. You know, if you're doing like pure Betweenlands, it's a very, very, very hard fight at maximum difficulty without Ring of Ascent. It really, really is. And also worth noting, when you're first placing out your wisps on the pedestals, if you're wanting to bump the difficulty up to max, I highly suggest you start with the pedestals in the center first and then move your way out, because it's going to be very, very dangerous to set your wisps once he's doing the full damage, like root spikes, right? Like, you want to avoid that. But there we go. He is now dead. Illegal logging. And you can see that all the small wisps in the area, or all the small masks, have died. And you can see that he dropped 3 spirit tree saplings, a bark amulet, and a large spirit tree face mask. And one thing to note is you're going to notice that at this point, all of the items in the area are breakable, so just bear that in mind. But you will notice that the ground here is going to start turning into sludge. The tree is going to start rotting. You're going to start getting rotten bark. So if you want to harvest something, do it quickly. So if you want the spirit tree logs and the leaves are quite beautiful and can be used for some interesting stuff. Decor, I'm planning on using them like moss in a build I'm about to be working on. But you're going to want to do that quickly, because if you don't, all this stuff is going to rot and just kind of decay until there's nothing left, right? Because basically the tree was keeping the decay out of this area. It was making it really nice. It was making it vibrant. There's no mud or sludge or rotten anything in this biome. But as soon as the tree dies, his protection in the area dies off with him. Let's go ahead and talk about the rewards from this boss. So basically, when it comes to this boss, there's 4 main things that you're going to want to, or you're probably going to get, or hopefully get if you raise the wisp difficulty up high enough. You're going to get the bark amulet, you're going to get spirit tree saplings, you're going to get the small spirit tree face masks, and the large spirit tree face masks. So first up, the bark amulet. If we equip this, what it's going to do, if we get near any kind of hostile creatures, you're going to see this pop up. This tells you how much health this creature has, you know, compared to its maximum. So you can see that the wisps are slowly going down. One of the greatest benefits to this is if we pop over to, say, the sludge plains. Certain creatures will hide underneath sludge. And also the boulder sprites will hide within rocks and things like that. But if we fly around here, we will probably see some, hopefully see some sludges. I don't know, we may not get lucky. But sometimes they'll hide kind of down inside the sludge. And you'll be able to see them, that they're hidden there. And I believe it will show peat mummies as well in that case. But we're not really coming across any. So, but then in addition, we got, in addition to the bark amulet, we got the small spirit tree mask and the large spirit tree mask. The small ones, they can be animated in the animator to make an animated variant. Which is it doesn't really do anything too different. It's just for looks. And you can place these down if you want. So I can do that and that. The animated one will not allow you to place it down, so just bear that in mind. But you can wear these, of course. So for example, they do provide a little bit of armor, and they have no durability, which is nice, and they will give you a little bit of damage absorption as well. The large one is going to give you slowness, so just bear that in mind if you're wearing that one. We're going to be talking more about events. There's some really cool ones within the Betweenlands. But you can place these down for decoration. You can also apply these to a shield and get your living weedwood shield. This is crafted with the animated tree mask and the weedwood shield. And what this is going to do is it's going to give you an animated mask. And what this mask is going to do, if we have this on a shield and we block, it's going to shoot out sap spit at targets. Yeah, there we go. You can see that right in there. There we go. You can see that there's sludges hidden, and we're able to see them with our bark amulet on. But anytime you're blocking with this shield, it's going to fire out sap spit. Then last up, we have the spirit tree sapling. So if we place this down, I'm just going to place an overworld because I can bone meal it here. But you can grow it in the Betweenlands as well. But it's going to grow a small spirit tree. And you'll notice that it does have a little mask on it. You can apply this with an amulet. However, you can't apply more than one amulet. Even with the amulet slot, you're limited to one on these. So just bear that in mind. But what's nice is this will teleport around, on its different bits of wood that are available to it. And you can expand this out. So if we want to bring this out, or for example, we were making like a gate. Just for example, we can do this. And what's going to happen is if creatures that are hostile. This is only hostiles. It's not going to attack passives. But if a zombie, or maybe zombie's not a good idea, it's going to start firing sap spit every so often at these zombies. Or any kind of hostile creature that tries to come through this area, it's going to try to attack them. Now its aim's not great, but what you can do is, we just killed the sap tree and we got 3 saplings. So then what we could do is, grow another one, like right there. And then what we can do is we can just connect this over, and we would have kind of a gate that's now got 2 masks guarding it. And you'll notice that the skeletons aren't really fighting back against our masks. So, really, really useful form of defense. There is ways they can take damage. Of course, these vines are kind of blocking their attacks, but there is ways that they can take damage, but for the most part, they're going to be pretty much immune to damage. And they'll just pretty much defend your base or whatever area you want them to protect. So, and you can expand, once again, you can expand this out quite a large distance, and they're going to kind of work and basically travel and teleport through this connected area. But bear in mind that it has to be connected with the spirit tree logs. But anyways, that's pretty much it for the spirit tree and the way the boss works and his drops. I hope that answered any questions you guys might have had as far as the boss goes and his respective items and things like that. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already to stay updated with when new videos come out. Next episode we will be tackling the Sludge Menace dungeon, you know, the big sludge dungeon, and then we'll be doing the Chiral Matron in the subsequent episode. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope to see you guys next time. If you have any questions about the Spirit Tree, let me know down in the comments. I'll do my best to get those answered for you. And until next time, as always, do take care, stay safe. I'll see you guys then.